Hi everyone, welcome to WaterBearReads, where I chat about illustrated classics and modern classics. My name is Heather, welcome. Today I'm going to show you all the books that I received for my birthday. My birthday was in April, and I was so lucky to receive so many wonderful books from my family. And these books include beautifully illustrated classics, one adapted version of a classic, some modern classics that are beautifully adapted, some second in a series, some lesser known modern classic works. Also, I have some contemporary books that I was gifted, as well as some non-illustrated books that I'd love to share with you. And as usual, whenever I do my book haul videos, I'll start out with an illustrated item that I've really been enjoying that I'd love to share with you. Stay tuned to the end of this video too, because I'm going to save my very favorite gift, my favorite gifted book, to the very end of the video. Today I am drinking a glass of cold water with lemon. We're having a warm May day today. I was also inspired by all the yellows that I see everywhere. Dandelions are out, pollen is everywhere, which I know not everybody loves, but I've been enjoying seeing all the sort of pollen showers every time the wind blows. And just everywhere you look is yellow, forsythias, daffodils, the yellow tulips are everywhere, as well as the other tulip. It's just become a cacophony of beautiful colors out there, but with the predominant color being yellow. So I always call this the yellow period of the spring. So anyway, I'm going to take a sip of my ice water. I hope you get comfortable and cozy with whatever you choose to drink, and I'll just take a sip and we'll get started. Last year I told you guys how I went on a trip to the Maine Botanical Gardens, and while I was there in the gift shop, I found these beautiful seed packets from Hudson Valley Seed Company. They're a company that makes these beautiful seed packets and decorates them with the work of different artists. And I just wanted to share with you the ones that I picked up for this season. The Midnight Garden Mix by an artist named Tanya Sell, some butterfly pea seeds by an artist named Bug Robbins. I picked up Love in a Mist by Holly M. Law. I'm very interested to see how these are going to turn out. One of the things that I fell in love with when I went to the Botanical Gardens are straw flowers. So I picked up this little packet by Natalie Worgan. And finally, I picked up some Dandy Dahlias by Dina Staffo, who I've talked about on my channel before. She illustrated the Folio Society's version of Persuasion. There's one of the illustrations. I've also showed you guys this book in the past, the Bridgerton Book of Afternoon Tea, which I love. I think it's just so pretty. Beautiful illustrations all throughout, along with pictures of the teas. But anyway, so I love Dina Staffo's illustrations, and I was just so excited when I saw that they had a seed packet with her artwork on it, so I had to get this one. The first book I want to share with you is an adapted classic, and it is this version of Anne of Green Gables by Nosy Crow, which is a publishing company whose books are just all so beautiful. I actually showed you the Nosy Crow version of The Wind in the Willows in my Wind in the Willows Illustrator Explorer. I did a couple of videos back. This one is retold by Catherine Woodfine and illustrated by Isabel Fulat, who is an illustrator out of Switzerland. You might recognize her work from the Aggie Morton series, or there's also a Sherlock series that I spotted. Arthur, who wrote Sherlock. And I love the foiling on this cover. And by the way, before I forget, when I did my Wind in the Willows Illustrator Explorer, I forgot to mention that there's this QR code on the back. And when you scan it, there's an audio version of this book. And it's a really beautiful audio version with the music to set the tone. It's delightful. And the Wind in the Willows also has that. So I just wanted to point it out before I forgot again on this one. It's divided into 13 chapters. Let me show you some of the illustrations. Under the dust jacket, it looks like this. I love it when there's something fun under dust jackets. And then on the back, there's this picnic with Diana Barry that they're having. I don't know if you can see it. And here's at the very beginning. Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful. And here's one from the autumn. It has this beautiful representation of every season in this book, which I loved. Here's one from the winter. You can see the Christmas tree there in the side. I'm really so grateful to have this. So yep, Anne of Green Gables by Nosy Crow. Last year, I received the collectible cloth-bound edition by Abbeville Press of Little Women, and I was so happy when I received their version of Frances Hodgson Burnett's The Secret Garden. And I just love these books. I hope that they do more of them. I love these books because in addition to featuring an illustrator of some note, they also have an introduction that talks about the illustrative history of the classic, in this case, The Secret Garden, which is wonderful. In this case, the illustrators that are included are Reginald Bathurst Birch, John Scott Williams, and Maria Louise Kirk. And this one is illustrated by Charles Robinson. In addition to the history that involves those three illustrators I just told you about, there's also a bit of history of Charles Robinson himself, other works by him, such as this Alice in Wonderland. And I just really appreciate all that information because you don't often see that in illustrated volumes. Another thing that is mentioned in the introduction is that the model for Mary Lennox was his daughter. Here's another one of her. Aren't they just gorgeous? Beautiful. So yeah, very excited to get that. And then I was over the moon because my friend Erica gave me this beautiful, splendid edition of Chris Riddell's Alice in Wonderland, or Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, illustrated by Chris Riddell. And it's just a beautiful edition. Chris Riddell needs no introduction by me, but what I will say is that I've seen a lot of his artwork on classics more and more, and I'm loving it. He has a version of The Little Prince that came out not too long ago, which I would love to get, as well as a modern classic, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. In the introduction to this, it speaks about how Chris Riddell decided to base his Alice after the real-life Alice, whose name was Alice Liddell. Let me show you some illustrations. There's Under the Dust Jacket. Here's the back of the book. And I love that the white rabbit is on the back side of this book. There's black and white illustrations as well as color illustrations. Caterpillar. I'm always attracted to the March Hare's house more than any illustration. The Queen of Hearts. There she is in black and white. A beautiful version. Thank you so much, Erica. I'm so grateful to have this one. I received another Marjolein Bastin. This one from my brother. He actually sent me two books, this video I'm going to show you. But this was one of them, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. And it's beautiful throughout, just like the others. I've mentioned on this channel why I love these books so much, because I love reading them and turning the page and not knowing what you're going to see next. What beautiful botanical or bird or butterfly or whatnot will be on the next page. Every turn of the page is a surprise, so I just love it. I'm so grateful to have Wuthering Heights. Of course, in addition to the beautiful illustrations, it has all the ephemera that is included. Let me show you some of it. This one includes many little botanical cards that have something that you find in the area around where Wuthering Heights was set. Like, for example, this heather. Then on the back it has all the habitat and the characteristics of heather. And there's also cards with birds included, like this is the merlin, and habitat and characteristics of the merlins as well. A bit of history on the parsonage at Haworth. And it's just beautiful. Oh, here's another one, Black Grouse. Marjolein Bastin is from Germany, and you know her from the Vera the Mouse series. One of my subscribers told me that in Germany there are several books illustrated by Marjolein Bastin that are in German. One that especially caught my eye was her version of Rebecca, which I would love if they published in English one day. So thank you, Alex, for letting me know that in the comments. I really appreciate that. And also, I wanted to let you know that her version of Sanditon will be out in November. I'm very excited for Jane Austen's Sanditon, illustrated by Marjolein Bastin. I think it looks beautiful. And then another book I received, and this was from my husband and my son, The Complete Brambly Hedge. I have been seeing this book all over YouTube and Bookstagram, and I have just really been wanting this version. I just think it's so pretty. I love the colors. I love this light color with the blackberries. This book has become quite a classic. It was written in the 80s. And on the back cover, it talks about how Jill Barklam got the idea for Brambly Hedge while traveling to and from university on the Underground. Her mind would just go to the countryside and she would start thinking of these characters. Let me show you some of the illustrations. I tried to pull illustrations from every season. Here is Spring Story. Check out this tree. the interior of the tree, their home. Here's one from the summer. I picked this one because of the yellow and just yummy pies. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, look at all that. Jams and cakes and torts and all kinds of wonderful things being cooked in that kitchen. And here's one from the autumn, which I just think is beautiful. Some of the underground. And finally, we have a bit of winter as well. And here they are, all cozy inside. I came across this beautiful version of Arsène Lupin, illustrated by Vincent Mallier. And it is just gorgeous. I really love this version. I've also noticed that Vincent Mallier does a version of Sherlock Holmes as well. I think it's A Study in Scarlet. And I'd like to get a hold of that one as well. And of course, there are many Arsène Lupin books out there, but this one is the short story collection of 8 stories that was published first, before Maurice Leblanc went on to write his other Arsène Lupin books. It's just beautiful. I love it. And I love these end papers as well. I just love the street scene. Isn't it gorgeous? There's also black and white drawings, and every chapter has a beautiful chapter heading as well. Just gorgeous, stunning. I thought this one was so beautiful too. And then I just wanted to show you guys, I received another book from one of my subscribers. Alina sent me this gorgeous version of The Snow Queen. She is from the Ukraine, and she selected this book because Vladislav Yurko, the illustrator, is a Ukrainian illustrator. He's really well known as well. There's even a line of Harry Potter books with his artwork on the covers. Let me show you these illustrations. There's Under the Dust Jacket. So pretty. End papers. I've seen this book all over Instagram, and every time I see it, I am so wanting this book. So when this arrived, I was like, what? This is amazing. And I'm just so excited to have it. Thank you so much, Alina. I really appreciate that. There's another one, full page spread. So gorgeous. I don't even know what to say. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sending this to me. I love it and will cherish it forever. I've spoken about Pushkin Press and how they have been republishing these beautiful editions by Paul Beagle. I showed you The King of the Copper Mountains as well as The Gardens of Dor. The Gardens of Dor especially is one of my favorite books. I really loved this book. But I've been wanting to get the third Paul Beagle they published. For my birthday, I received The Little Captain from my husband and my son, and I'm so excited to read this with my son. Apparently, it is Paul Beagle's best-selling work. Paul Beagle authored over 60 different books, adult as well as children's stories. He's just a prolific author, and honestly, I wish Pushkin Press would do more of his work, because I'd really love to continue my journey reading Paul Beagle's work. Each one of these is illustrated by a different illustrator, and this one is illustrated by Carl Hollander. Carl Hollander is from the Netherlands, and he also has a version of Pippi Longstocking, which I think is only in Dutch, I believe. There's no English version. When I did my Pippi Longstocking Illustrator Explorer on my website, I never came across him, and I think it's because he doesn't have an English version, unfortunately. I really like this one with the elephant. I'm excited to read that. This will be one of the books that we're reading this summer, so I'm excited to get into this one. And then the other book that my brother gave me, the brother who gave me The Wuthering Heights by Marjolein Bastin, also gave me Mary Poppins Comes Back. I love the look of these Mary Poppins books with illustrations by Mary Shepard. I just think they're so tidy, you know, just like Mary Poppins would want them. So I want to collect the other ones, and I was looking for Mary Poppins Comes Back in my local stores. I thought surely I'll just come across it at some point, but after 2 years of looking for it, I just wasn't finding it, so I finally put it on my wish list, and my brother got it for me. Mary Shepard's illustrations are just wonderful, and of course Mary Shepard is the daughter of Ernest Shepard, who is the illustrator of Winnie the Pooh, among other works. I really love her illustrations, and I think that she is just so perfect. She's the original illustrator of Mary Poppins. I think I'm going to try and read this sometime over the summer as well. I've showed you this one on my channel before a few times, and I just love these hardback editions. So I decided to put on my wish list another Moomin Valley book, and I went for Moomin Summer Madness because we're heading into summer. And I'm really excited to read this one, and I just really love these editions. And I'm not sure if I ever showed you that under the dust jacket there is a little gilded embossing, which I think is just so cute. This one, of course, has the beautiful end papers, and Tove Jansson's just adorable illustrations. They're just so cute and wonderful. Lots of full-page illustrations as well as chapter heading illustrations, and I imagine these flowers are probably yellow. At the top of the year, I put out a video about out-of-print children's books that I find at the back of my library in the book stacks. I was speaking about Eleanor Fargen, and one of my subscribers, Punita, she suggested that I try another Eleanor Fargen book called The Glass Slipper, which I did, and I loved it. It became my February out-of-print book for the month. I posted it on my Instagram account. And I looked for some more Cinderella retellings, and I came across this one, Silver Woven in My Hair by Shirley Rousseau Murphy. And it's illustrated by Alan Tigreen or Tigreen. I'm not actually sure how to say his last name. It's about a girl who actually collects Cinderella stories from around the world. Her family has an inn, and travelers come through, and she listens to the stories that travelers tell her, and she writes them down. And she has these two stepsisters who disparage her at every moment and make fun of her for writing stories down. They believe girls shouldn't even be reading, let alone writing. Her name is Thirsty, by the way. And then Thirsty goes on to have her own sort of Cinderella story herself. And so that's what it seems to be about, and I can't wait to read it this summer sometime. Here's the back side of it, some of the interior illustrations. I'll have this one on my Instagram accounts soon as well, because I just photographed it the other day. I'm very excited to receive that one. I picked up another Purple House Press book. First of all, let me tell you, at the beginning of the year, I read 3 books that the story revolved around opera and theater: Magic Flutes, The Borrowed House, and another one, which is an out-of-print book I got from my library called Castle on the Border. And in each one of those books, it centers around an opera. It was just total accident that I chose these 3 books. It just happened that way. I mean, I suppose the Magic Flutes was a conscious choice, but The Borrowed House and Castle on the Border were not. They just accidentally turned out to be surrounding works of opera. And anyway, my point being, I was painfully aware of how ignorant I am on the background of some of the stories. Some of these operas, I've heard the titles all the time. All my life I've heard these titles. But I don't actually know much about the stories themselves, the actual plot of these operas, or the characters. And because of that, I felt like I wasn't getting as much as I could have out of these 2 books, which were both of these, by the way, amazing books. So anyway, when I saw this book by Purple House Press, Stories of Favorite Operas by Clyde Robert Bula, I just had to get it. It has about 23 different operas in it. Each opera is illustrated, and also the plot and the characters of the opera are introduced first by a background and a history of the opera, so you get a little bit of its placement. It talks about the composer, and it's just wonderful. I'm really looking forward to sitting down and reading through this. It has Magic Flutes in it. It has The Ring of the Nibelung in it, which is a big one in The Borrowed House. It has Faust. It has The Barber of Seville. It has Aida, The Marriage of Figaro. A really great book for people like me who have only a vague idea of the storylines behind these operas and who just want a refresher on what is behind the stories of these operas. And so I'm really looking forward to getting into this one. Let me show you some of these illustrations. There's one illustration here that reminds me so much of Kai Nielsen's work, and it's that one. The illustrations are always across from the title page of the play. This is one that I know very well. Aida, I love this one so much. La Traviata. There's also some illustrations within the actual text of the story. Now I have some contemporary illustrated books to share with you, and the first one is one that I've actually filmed and wanted to show you guys twice on this channel before. This one is a gift, but it was a gift given to me last year for my birthday. And every time that I talk about it, I say the title wrong. I keep saying The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Hound. And I record entire videos and don't catch myself. So anyway, this time I'm going to say it right. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. There, I did it. This is the animated story. So the original story you've probably seen out there. This is the one based on the animated film. I've been wanting to talk about this because it's almost a given modern classic. It's a book about friendship. It's a book about being accepted for what you are with all of your shortcomings and mistakes. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful story and a great one to give friends as a gift. But another reason I wanted to chat about this book is because Charlie Mackesy is one of the artists chosen to create 6 pieces of work of art for the House of Mandela International, defining what Nelson Mandela meant to him. And I think it's called the Struggle series. I just thought that was really neat, and I keep wanting to tell you guys that. If I could just get the title right. It was because I had just read The Fox and the Hound, and The Fox and the Hound was on my mind. So I kept saying The Fox and the Hound. Anyway, so let me show you some of these beautiful illustrations. This is a great one, I think, to read in the winter months with all the snow. It's just gorgeous. The other book that I received, and this is from my husband and my son, is Madame Pamplemousse and Her Incredible Edibles. Apparently it's about this girl, and she's a terrific cook herself, but she is living with an uncle who has a restaurant, and he becomes very envious of Madame Pamplemousse's recipes, and he sends his niece to work with her and steal her recipes from her. I actually think I found this one through researching Susan Hellard. Susan Hellard, I've shown you some of her books before. She just does the most beautiful illustrations. Let me show you some of the interior. There's one. And there's another one I thought was really cool because it looks to be one of the gargoyles on Notre Dame. Just a really pretty book. It looks to be a series of sorts, so I'm interested. I'm not sure if this is one I'll read with my son or just read to myself. A couple of videos ago, I showed you these new rumor gardens that I picked up, the Dark Horse and In This House of Breed, and spoke about the cover artist Joanna Lisowicz, who is a Polish illustrator now living in Yorkshire. I think she also spent some time in Switzerland. And while I was researching her for that video, I came across this book, The Wisdom of Sheep and Other Animals by Rosamund Young, and it has Joanna Lisowicz illustrations in it as well, the cover art as well as interior illustration. And it looked really good, so I added it to my birthday wish list. Let me show you some of the interior illustrations. This book seems to be about the day-to-day observations of sheep and the other animals in the vicinity. The illustrations by Joanna Lisowicz are beautiful, and mostly in the form of spot illustrations. I thought I would read this small little part from the front flap real quick. We talk about people behaving like sheep, which assumes that sheep all behave in the same way. That has not been my experience. Some are affectionate, others prone to headbutting, some are determinedly self-sufficient, others seek our help when they need it. And some can be trusted to lead the flock home. They are as individual as we are. And later on in the paragraph it says, we learn about sheep growing old disgracefully, the intelligence of supposedly bird-brained hens, conversations between cows, and why you should never send a text while milking. So anyway, it looks to be a delightful read to just pick up here and there and read throughout the summer. So now I have a few unillustrated titles to share with you. The first one is I received another Orange Penguin Classics edition, the Joy Luck Club that I love. I've been collecting these. This is my 4th one, I think. Since I was reading The Backyard Bird Chronicles by Amy Tan, I figured I may as well just go ahead and get the Joy Luck Club. And I was so happy to receive this one. And the cover artwork is done by Eric Nyquist, who you might recognize if you know the Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer, that series. He does the illustrations for the covers as well for those. But anyway, I just love these. I think they are gorgeous. That soft sort of rubbery feel with the French flaps, and yeah, just very happy to have another one to add to my collection. I received another Furrowed Middlebrow book by Dean Street Press. It's Under the Rainbow by Susan Scarlett, who is actually Noel Stretfield. It seems to be about these 2 kids who are under the care of their uncle, who's a vicar, and they are newly orphaned, and they are in need of a governess, and the governess comes and she has kind of a mysterious past, and yeah, it just sounded like it would be interesting. And then in my last video, I also showed you guys how when I went down to New York, I stopped in a Barnes & Noble's and I showed you that there was a whole display of books set in Paris. And I did actually pick one out. I picked up the Paris Bookseller by Kerri Maher. And the reason I picked this one up is because it is about Shakespeare and Company, about the famous bookstore in Paris, and I really want to read about it. I want to learn about the background, about how it came to be, about what inspired the lady. I think she was an American who opened it. Sylvia Beach opened Shakespeare and Company on a quiet street in Paris in 1919. So anyway, I wanted to read more about her and more about the bookstore Shakespeare and Company, so I picked this one up. And I'm excited to read this one. So now I'm going to show you my very, very favorite book that I received for my birthday. It's a secondhand book, and I was so excited to get this one because I've wanted it forever. And that is Jane Eyre, illustrated by Fritz Eichenberg. And it is just so beautiful. The woodcut engravings from Fritz Eichenberg are just stunning. It has a Wuthering Heights companion that comes with it, so I'm going to be on the lookout for that one as well. Fritz Eichenberg was a German illustrator who had to leave Germany when Adolf Hitler came to power. Look at those illustrations. They're just so beautiful, and I am just so happy to have this version. I think it is a stunner. It's just so pretty. The illustrations, I think, are gorgeous. Look at that one. Isn't that beautiful? But yeah, just very, very excited to finally own this edition of Jane Eyre. I am just over the moon. And I couldn't be happier, so I'm so grateful to my husband and son for grabbing this one for me. Well, that is it. I hope you have enjoyed this birthday book haul video. I just want to say how much I appreciate you watching to the end of this video. It is so valuable to me, as well as your likes and comments. They're so motivating and inspiring. And I just want to say thank you so, so much. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy last year's birthday book haul, which actually I didn't put out till July. I'm doing better this year. But anyway, it was a purple sort of bee-themed video. I'll make sure that I leave it for you on the end screen so you can click onto it if you're interested. I'll be back soon with another video, so until then, keep enjoying life and finding beauty in the small things. And I will see you next time. Bye.